Oh, yes, this is one question I wanted to get to. Paper chase. Does this literally mean that you were chasing your clients for pieces of paper that the name came about?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And
I thought so.
the name was came through my brother. We see, we are always cheering for the paper because nobody was it. Business people, the people in business hate people.
Hi, I'm Kevin. Welcome to the Hospitality People Season 1. In this series of podcasts, we'll hear the incredible stories of prominent people globally in the food and beverage industry. In today's podcast, we will be in conversation with Patel, who's the founder of Paperchase and StockTake Online, with over 34 years experience of top-notch accounting and over a decade of SaaS services, well establishing itself in continents like North America, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Europe, with big names like Zuma, Roca, LPM, Amazonico, and Nusrat. Let's take a dive into Aku's life and how he came about bringing a basic idea on how to organize and strategize food accountability in a restaurant. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear it from the man himself, Aku Patel.
Good morning, Aku. How are you doing today?
Oh, good. Had surprising results today. Labor, the government is in place.
Yes,
Enough for the politics. Let's hope it doesn't affect the business going forward in the hospitality trade. So
definitely,
we'll
definitely.
remain focused to say how we can improvise with the government, irrespective of the government.
All right, all right. We are just going to go ahead and we would want to know about your journey as to how you came through across with Paperchase. What put you into Paperchase? What put you specifically into the food and beverage industry, apart from the other segments of hospitality that you could have gone through with, but you particularly chose to stay with food and beverage? Any memories of your earliest, foods that attracted you towards specifically the food and beverage bit of it?
You might know that hey, I'm from Kenya, and our parents used to have a restaurant. My
All
mother
right,
used to be the cook, and my father used to be doing everything else.
all
And
right,
I remember in my childhood, my father had to get up so early in the morning to go to the market to buy the fresh produce
right,
on a day. And he had
right,
always mentioned that he has to buy the best produce available. And
right.
you will go and buy it in bulk so that you don't have to go to the market every day. And it was very hard. I remember you have to get up at 4 in the morning or even earlier. And as you know, in hospitality, the business doesn't close at, even if your business opens at 9 in the morning, there's still so much preparation and everything to be done. So I remember my father's journey of going to the market to pick up the goods. And we would just help him offload it when he brings back the goods. And you were young at that time. So we didn't have the muscle to put in some big potato bags and stuff like that. And my mother used to be I'm using the word cook. And it was very hard life for her also because taking care of the children, putting a meal for the children, and working in the restaurant 7 days a week. And I remember they hardly had any holidays, you know, because the businesses were not big enough. So that hard work was always there. And they always encouraged us to take academic courses and not to be involved in the hospitality business because it was hard life. But my mother being a great cook, well, food was amazing. And in addition to that, as a result, we used to have a lot of people coming to our home for meals or, you know, entertainment. So it was a great journey at the time. It was hard work.
But I reckon with your mom making all the food, the customers would have been getting some really good home cooked food because she had to keep you children in mind as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she wasn't separately cooking in another kitchen. So,
No, I mean, the restaurant should work in the restaurant. At home, it will be
all right.
kitchen. You know?
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah.
double time chef.
It's a double chef, you know.
A double
And,
time chef. That's great.
yeah. So the hard work was the base of the foundation of our family hospitality. But they encouraged us to do academic studies. And unfortunately, Pat passed away at a young age, came to the UK, and I had done ACCA articles. And when we required extra income, we started bookkeeping service from home. So we had the jobs. Me and my two brothers had the jobs. And then I used to be good at management reporting.
Right.
And we had a few restaurant clients. And I was trying to say in any business, unless you understand the fundamentals of the business, you can create a P&L, but you can't create good management reports.
Right.
And I had an idea to say that how can you work smartly? How can you give something which is beneficial to the people who are not academic? You know, as an accountant, I can get the balance sheets, P&Ls, etc. But you ask a chef, you know, a P&L, he's probably not even interested. He doesn't understand a lot, but he knows how to cook. Now, that era of chefing was quite different to the current chefing days. And I learned from their viewpoint to say that, you know what, they work hard. Most of the kitchens often were in a basement or in a poor area. They don't have windows or anything. And when you are working in those conditions, you have to earn their respect that they have their challenges. How to make their life easy? So through the management reporting and at every level, interacting with the chefs, the managers, I started learning more and more about other side of the business. And whatever I learned, the good points, how they want to incorporate into financials where possible. But that knowledge gave me a great idea that apart from just cooking and giving him some numbers, we also require some more disciplines. So discipline was a key element for our Paperchase reporting. And one of them involved a stock take. And on those days when you were doing on a piece of paper or an Excel was okay, but wasn't the best solution, especially when it came to alcohol, because alcohol can be converted to cash very easily,
Correct.
you know, and if any misappropriation or carelessness takes place, it'll be at the alcohol level, much more than the food level. So I said recipes and inventory were important element. The next would be your wage cost.
Right.
If you look at the controlling the gross profit, then I believe the gross profit should not only be a percentage, also be cash margin.
Right.
Right. And a good tone would help the owners, the managers, the people running the business understand how to make more, how to generate more cash profits.
Right.
So,
Right.
idea was to convert the basic Excel files into an inventory. And with that inventory, you wanted to make sure that navigation was easy.
Right.
I had always believed that if you give somebody too complex, A, they won't do it, they won't be interested, and it will fail. So this idea of the stock take online was born. And we had an amazing guy who was an accountant, but also programmer. So he could understand both sides of the business. You know, because often we have a programmer and he'll program because he's a programmer. But when you're an accountant, you remember the financial analysis which is required for the end result, which
Right.
is a critical element.
Right.
So the rest of the journey or the software development was geared on the principles of simplicity, great reports, and the ease with which less qualified people academically can work with it.
All right. So up to here, we have briefly explained to us a little bit about how you got into this and how you converted Excel to the software to accounts. And then you had Mahid, who I'm presuming you're referring to, who did the software for StockTake Online.
Correct.
But let's go back a little further down the road where before you did your ACC, before you got into articleship and all of that, what was the boy Aku wanting to pursue apart from the academics? Every little boy has his passion for maybe being an astronaut, the pilot, the army, something. So what was it for you?
I wanted to be a geologist.
Oh, a geologist.
Yeah.
A geologist back then,
Back then.
which that is quite interesting because now a lot of people do know about geology, but back in the day, you were way what I have heard and what I have understood, you were leagues ahead of what people are doing now. Something very small as you mentioned that you were working from home, which has now become a standard for professionals.
That's true.
And back then, I do not believe it was very professional of a professional to be sitting at home and working.
Right. You would not get the respect
Right.
of the clients because they think that at home you have your disturbances, you have your
Right.
family matters to attend to, and you will not be able to focus on the client's business.
Right.
As a result, there could be mistakes, delays, and stuff like that.
Right.
And the environment, when that was true, we always found that our business growth from home was not as strong as when we moved to the office. And the biggest obstacle was convincing whether you are dealing via a banker, because bankers also give the money to say, no, how to make sure that the client's business is going to survive. Because tomorrow you might have a domestic issue or domestic problem and say, you know what, I can't service you. So we have to create a better business environment to work from. And respect started coming in when you had your own office. Plus, it also meant that you can train the people better, can lift them up, knowledge.
Right.
And we were at the stage in the hospitality that we were learning new things every day. Things were changing. New technology was coming into place. When we started, there was initial a computer we had was one where you had a floppy disk on one side and a program on the other.
Right.
Yeah. And you might not even remember, it used to be Supercalc, and Lotus was the first Excel tab model. Then Supercalc came in. And then, of course, Microsoft Excel came in,
All right.
which still is the dominating today.
True.
But now with power of technology, software,
Right.
and data processing, you can create better information tools. And what we had always borne in mind is to give back the information which makes sense to them.
Right.
Working from home today is reminding me of my journey, which was 1980s, before we formed Paperchase Accountancy Limited, which was in 89.
Right. The year I was born. So it's 34 years old. 35 this year.
Yeah. And
35. That's a long time back.
you can imagine, you're the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, so is the small Aku Patel, the geologist Aku Patel still has that hobby, or still gets interested on a few rocks that he might see, but may not go for them, but still that little child maybe wanting to pick it up and explore it.
No regrets. You go along. When we also, when you're young, you really don't know the genuine commercial world.
Right.
If I wanted to be a doctor or a scientist, it would be quite different. So it's like obscure ideas and obscure things you wanted to do. But then you come to the real world, and the real world, says, you know what, you knuckle down. But I believe that I want to make life interesting.
Right.
When you think about any software in accounting sense, it can produce profit or loss on the balance sheet. That's not very interesting.
Right.
I wanted to create something which can change the course of the restaurant for the betterment. So if at the end of the year, you get a balance sheet and a profit and loss. You can't do anything. It's just like you can do your tax planning, etc. But on a day-to-day basis, I wanted a tool whereby we can change the direction of the hospitality. And that has still continued as of today to say, how can we change the direction, assist the client, make things easier, and provide the best tools available.
So when I see StockTake online, it is right from your brainchild, your Zuma reports, which I had the privilege of going through. Did it strike you as not being precisely directly from the food and industry segment, but where did it strike you that wastage is a major part which is playing in the losses of a restaurant? Or was this just a pattern you had seen while you were practicing or doing the accounts for other restaurants?
I think apart from the accounting side of it, remember, I used to observe, I used
Right.
to hit the restaurants. I used to
Right.
speak to the people concerned. And
Right.
through your basic information, what you want, what you sold, you started getting an idea and you put a tracker on it to say that
Right.
in the hospitality, you can have big wastage area.
Right.
For example, if I talk on the food side, he has bought some fish and at the end of the week, he's not been able to sell it. So he
Right.
says, you know what, I'm going to throw it away.
Right.
I mean, it's a big chunk of the
Right.
money which goes down the drain. Second, on alcohol side, by mistake, some item has not been put on the system.
Right.
Intentionally, unintentionally, a friend of the bar manager might come in and he might give him a free drink without going through the deal. So
Right.
these are all the things which I was aware of it, what happens.
Right. Right. We'll give you.
You can't control 100% sitting from an office. For example,
Right.
if your food margin is low, the chef might reduce the portion and get your margins to what you require.
Correct.
So there is always a reservation that all these tools which are there might not give you the perfect solution. You have to have your eyes within the restaurant itself.
Correct.
So I learned all these tricks which people used to do to come to the right solution. To say, here it is. Totally fish the pie. So when we started the journey in London or in UK, a lot of people would not go out at the end of the month to eat. And one of the reasons I found was that if the chef felt that his margin at the end of the month wasn't going to be what was expected,
Okay.
he will have a substandard item coming in.
Okay.
Now,
Cost cutting.
cost cutting or mediocre product,
Perfect.
the same price.
Correct.
So the regulars say, we don't go at the end of the month. You would go, after that period.
Right.
So I said, this cycle of birthday should not be the reason. You have to make it weekly. And that's where the idea originated to say that if I knew weekly controls, weekly analysis, then I will have more consistency in the food offered to the customer.
Right.
Because if a customer has got a bad experience, he's not going to come back to you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And through my connections with the certain vegetable suppliers,
Right.
they used to tell me the different type of grades of, say, oranges or spinach or something.
Right.
And they say that grade A will go to this restaurant, grade 2 will go to this restaurant, grade 3 will go to here. And some of the rubbish will go to some of the restaurants. You say, I would need them, but you should not go and eat in those restaurants.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah. But the entire format, I think we changed it to make it on a weekly cycle. So,
All right.
the quality should be much more consistent. The reporting should be more consistent.
So, Aku, would you attribute some of these habits? Did you identify them as you went along when you created Paperchase? Or did you recognize some of this while you were back in Kenya and seeing these things happen? Like the fresh produce being bought, as you said, the early bird gets the worm. So the people who are going early into the market are getting the best produce, are getting better quality product in their restaurants, cooking out better quality items. So does any of that, or like any of that experience from your childhood, which would you would say directly went into application when you created Paperchase or these reports?
Not really. The reason for that one is we were just too young to understand the finance
Okay,
of this business element of it,
okay,
So, and that was hard work, sweat, great produce, great things, So I talk about the taste and the customers and
right,
our craft which went behind it.
right,
And I want to say that with that hard craft, today how I wished I was able to navigate my parents' restaurants with the bafflement of something different. But that was a different era.
error,
True, true. But I always believed that whatever you do, you need to go to the nitty-gritty of the operations and learn as much as you can.
definitely,
And the best people to teach you are the people who are actually working in the hospitality. And,
very
and once you create that rapport with them, with the intention that I want to help you, I want to make your life easier and better. And it wasn't a question of point scoring to some clever. No, those guys are cleverer than us. What they can do is what I can't do. But
right,
if with our background, if we can help them to manage the business better, they always reach out, you know.
right,
And
right,
I always used to say that don't compromise on your quality, and that still stands today. But apply different methodology, different ideas, different things, how to make your your business more successful. So StockTake online, the inventory was very crucial. Two reasons. Number one, you can get accurate GP. Two, any wastage which are there, you control it. So whilst we implemented this, also found that the chef started telling me that, oh, my fish has gone bad or my meat is bad. And then I had an idea to say, no, I told the chef, you bought it, you sell
right,
it. I will
yeah,
give the credit for the wastage. Convert it into soap, cup wax, whatever you want to do.
right,
I put it for scalp meal, but I will not give you credit for the wastage.
right,
So
right,
while
eliminating,
unpopular, but I say that, you know what, in order to run hospitality, it's not only your inventory control, what she'll do and what she's not do. You also require some different elements to get
right,
the right results.
right,
So, you can get like I said, yes, you can put in the wastage. Here it is. Yes, for example, some of the whites might have gone off. You have your
right,
wastage. You can't control it. Some can be returned, some can't be returned. A bottle has broken. Yes, that's wasted. Or a fridge has broken. As a result, you have to throw it aside. Because it's not the chef's fault or the barmaid's fault on certain elements of it.
right, right,
So you eliminate all those things as much as possible. But you still have to keep an eye on at the customer level service. For example, you might say, I'm getting my right margin from alcohol. But
right,
instead of putting hypothetically 25 ml of vodka, I might be putting 23 ml of vodka.
right,
You know, all those things. So that means I believe in consistency to make sure the customer does not lose out. So it has to be transparent, but those things have to be controlled much more at the restaurant. Then you can only apply the principles. But the inventory package gives the guidance to say, look, I will not have coming in or little less. Misappropriation is much less. Or there are genuine mistakes which happen that you might give the wrong bottle of wine or by mistake, selling price is different, and they're human beings. So it depends. Either it's poor training or your storage is so badly organized that it's very difficult for the people to manage an efficient system. And as long as we deal with human beings, we'll always have certain, I would say discrepancies, certain mistakes being made, but you want to minimize as much as possible.
So could we put it in another way as a little bit of the human error or margin of error, which is always there with humans?
It is always there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So would you also that now that I've seen that you particularly talked about alcohol being where you tightened the nose around the operations to have better consistency and control. Could you also call the beverage or the alcohol section the cash cow of any restaurant of your experience?
Not necessary, unless you're a club, a bar club,
Right,
and of course it is the main business. But the
right,
food and the wine goes hand in hand with all the spiritual dining coming in. If you
correct.
if you are a QSR, it's different water.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the QSR can be much more consistent because they've standardized the product, they've standardized everything,
Right,
and
right,
nowadays they work very efficiently.
right,
But when it
right,
comes to fresh produce coming in, so a lot of these things, issues come in when it's fresh produce related, you know?
right, right,
And for the fresh produce related, you require some disciplines.
right,
One of them is, like I mentioned, to get your right GP margin, not percentage back, but also case margin. It also gives the people an idea that, yes, I've got a huge case margin on, say, for example, lobsters, but the margin might be pathetic.
right,
So it will allow them to say, look, I'm making more money now, case
right,
margin, rather than the percentage wise. So it's how you use the tool and how do you uh, give the story to the people
right.
running the business to say, look, these tools are there for you to make more money if you run it
Right.
right.
So now coming from the hospitality background myself, I do understand where you needed to implement weekly reports, whereas a lot of the companies usually do a monthly stock take because over here we have perishable items. What I would assume that would require weekly reports and there's more wastage, more spoilage. There's a consistency of buying. A lot of the produce cannot be bought in bulk due to storage reasons. This weekly report, how did the clients, when you went out to explain to them, take to it? A new concept.
Exceptionally well.
Okay.
Exceptionally well. Because at the end of the month, when you got certain things where your margins were low or discrepancies were there, you will not know where it happened.
Right.
The idea is to find out where the weakness is and how do you improvise on it.
Right.
Is it training?
Right.
Issue? Is it storage issue? Is it a misappropriation issue? What is it? And how do you minimize it? So when you have an elongated month and you have discrepancies, say your 4 bottles of champagne have gone missing, you know when it went missing.
Right.
So you want to reduce that cycle as much as possible. So at least you have an idea that, and it might trigger the point to say, yes, I remember on so and so day, if you're doing a weekly cycle, that there was a big party or something, and we on our own gave extra 4 bottles of champagne as a goodwill, but we forgot to put it to the till.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it triggers the point to say that it's not that you are lost out, but now you know the reason why your GP might have been low. But there's an explanation. As far as there's an explanation, it's fine.
Correct.
The other thing which does in all these things, when you have an inventory package coming in, you also want to make sure that is my stock holding in relation to my revenue reasonable?
True.
And in UK, for example, you buy everything. So you normally pay 30 days from the end of the month. I think that's across the globe. Most of the people get paid like that. Unless
Right.
you're in the US, or I'll call you to pay every week or every day.
Okay.
So what you don't want to do is at the end of the month, have a big purchase order going out to the supplier because it can create a cash flow for the following month.
Right.
So you want to have your buying pattern very regular throughout the week coming in.
Right.
you know.
Right.
So it helps to manage your buying. It helps the chef to say, I know how much time I'm going to spend in terms of cutting, shopping, storage, etc. Regular as everything becomes like a norm every day.
Right. Right. So I have gone through a few of your previous interviews and collected a little bit of information, I would say, on you. And I did learn that you and your brothers were working out of UK and you were an ex-employee of Deloitte. And that's where
Kenya, yeah.
in Kenya. All right. So where did that passion come that you wanted to get, I would call it, out of your comfort zone and become an entrepreneur?
I think circumstances, you work hard, you do everything, and you want to be your own boss,
Right,
and you have the plan and do what you want to do. Yeah. At the same time, make sure you earn money. I mean, we did that. Money was important, but you're independent, you know.
right,
And I believe that in the hospitality sector, there are thousands of restaurants
right,
going out, and the restaurants are not going to die because there's a social place, entertainment place,
right,
business place, you name it. I said, if we can target the hospitality business, you know, a unique product, not do, general Joe public's businesses, just one F&B businesses, and we will become master. And
right.
I didn't want to be jack of all trades and master of none. That was my thought process.
All right.
And there are people who say that, no, you are mad because a lot of restaurants go belly up. I said, we try to make sure they don't go belly up. But
Right.
if the volume keeps on coming in, we should be able to navigate the losses which will come across for the plant which we will lose.
But Aku, from your experience, from your life that you like experienced and been in the UK, you talked about restaurants going belly up. But don't you feel that the food and beverage industry is such that it doesn't matter how many other restaurants go belly up? There's always a need for that sector to be available. Because in today's world, it's become more of a necessity for some people who cannot cook at home.
That absolutely affected the young generation.
Yes,
Yeah. Also, you tend to find the supermarkets now also give you some meal deals, etc., etc.
true.
So a lot of businesses, restaurants which are poorly planned,
Mhm.
lack of capital, bad locations. And the studies have not been done properly, but the intention is there. And some of those guys often are able to, they might have lost the business once, but they're able to come out of it and start another one successfully because they learn the mistakes.
Right,
Like any business, you say, you know what, I should not have done this. I had made the basic mistakes. If they come to us, we try to guide them to say what not to do, you know,
right,
to make things easy.
right, right, right. So, well, if prior to establishing Paperchase, were there any other ventures that you had gone into but were not successful till you finally settled down to Paperchase, or Paperchase was your only goal which you started with and you made it happen?
I would say Paperchase was the only goal.
All right, all
You
right.
know,
Yes.
before the Paperchase journey started, I had a wealth of experience dealing with trading side of it, manufacturing side of it. So I knew the flow of information, what controls are required to make it work. I was able to use that experience and the knowledge into our accounting platform to say, this is what one must do. But in the hospitality, unlike other businesses, I believe from the day one, it had to be weekly reports,
Right, right. Weekly reports. Yes, as you mentioned.
and
So get
weekly stock takes.
all right, all right. But yes, I've been working with StockTake for over 2 years, been in and around the software. It is something that a lot of people still do not know about how it is helping them out, but it is helping them out. Someone who, as you mentioned, is from the hospitality industry might in depth once get to know it, really understand how it's broken down to help them out, especially with very new features like yield, which was not taken into consideration before, which I believe you have put into place. Also, are the rumors true that Patel probably was the person who introduced training as a criteria for not having consistency if training wasn't consistent?
For the reporting side of it, yes, I would train the managers and the chef and the key people concerned.
So how did you come to this idea that training is an essential part, just like stock take or collecting data on wastage or recipe management? How did it come across to you that training was a crucial element in saving money?
I would say not only saving money, it will be the question of how to better the business.
Is okay.
I never looked at the expense for me. I also looked at the customer, the revenue, and everything.
Okay.
And with these experiences which I have and which I keep on learning, and I'm not shy. I will want to reach out to the clients to learn more from them. Whilst my age might say that, you have passed the sell by date, I still have the hunger to learn to say, how can I make better? What can I learn from these guys? Because the right ideas have come in. How do I encompass that? Is it valuable? And if it is, who will it be applicable to? So it's absorbing all the knowledge, experience, and then with the reports which you have created to say, how do you interpret those reports?
Right.
Reports are there. How do you interpret those reports? Because behind the scene, it has been built on question and answers also. I started based on base reports, but with more knowledge, more experience, more clients, our reports became wider, bigger and wider. So it was based on question and answers from the client's viewpoint, because he was looking at from his viewpoint, which I might not have thought about it. But I said, you know what? It's a great idea. Let's incorporate them.
Great. Great. No, it's amazing what you are doing. And when I learned that you had emphasized on training as well, yes, I have thought about that. That trained manpower is very necessary to run an efficient business, because that also saves a lot of time, and time is money.
And also, once you have taught the people the interpretation and the reporting side of it, that is especially applicable to the clients who want to grow.
Right.
So when they open up a second site or the third site or the fifth site, they're all trained to know what is expected of them, how to read the reports. And it means that you can move your manager or the people from one location to another or from one country to another, because they will understand the interpretation. You might make a few subtle changes. So the training element to train somebody and is eliminated.
Right.
It's there. So you become stronger, you become better, you have a better kickstart. As often you wait for 3 months or 4 months or 5 months before you start tweaking. Here, from the second week, you start understanding your business, how it is, how you can make it better. And it's not only cost related, but it's, to me, your top line, your costs and your sales are the key element.
Right.
Those which we apply to make much more efficiency are the things like your inventory package, your wage cost, and of course your expenses. But once you control your expenses, you can't do a lot with it. So it's always your gross profit, your wages, but your top line is a key element.
So, Aku, I understand from this conversation that you have approached food and beverage from a very holistic view, not only from the perspective of the owner of the restaurant or the operations run back of house or front of house, but also from the viewpoint of the customer satisfaction, repeat orders, how many covers they're doing. So that's a very broad idea you were looking at. Whereas probably at that time, people were looking at very individualistic areas to consider. Now, all this was prepared in your mind before you headed into Paperchase, or was this on the as and when you went through and through with Paperchase that this features kept developing, you decided for it to be more holistic than just the back of house? How did it come about? Taking all of it into consideration, every aspect of it.
I think the first, because remember that those days when we started this, the technology wasn't as great. It used to take a long time to produce even a simple report.
Right.
But I had the base information that this is how it should be,
Right.
whether it's your sales, your covers, your spend, how did the money come in, your weekly gross profit coming in. So the idea was that, but then new technology, better softwares, speed, efficiency, bigger clients, more clients coming in, and it kept on growing. So the more processing power we had, and then the hunger to learn more and more, and
Right.
give more reports or better
Right.
reports. And the next edition was when the clients were overseas from UK. You can't control the restaurant in Dubai or Far East. Taking from the UK, because UK here you can go and fix the problem very easily.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I then start thinking, controlling an operation sitting from the UK head office, I needed to back up the reports. So those things made me much more look into the. So I was able to accommodate those things, and the feedback I got was amazing. So, it also gave me the appetite to say that, what, we've been able to do that in this a country 3,000, 5,000 miles away. So the more I got the hunger and the appetite, that continued, and I try to pass the same knowledge and experience to our colleagues, staff, to say, here it is.
And it seems like you still got the appetite to go on and on. It
Well,
doesn't seem to stop. As you said, you're always open to learning. So a person who's always open to learning, they never have a fixed appetite. It's always going to be large.
Exactly. And you build up the rapport and the respect with the client because
Right.
you always tell the truth. You
Right.
don't try to hide from any problems. And yes,
Right.
we are the human beings. We all make mistakes. But if you are honest with each other, your
Right.
integrity is that, then there is progress in our hospitality because we are dealing
Right.
with human beings through and through.
Right.
We are not a QSR model.
Right.
Most of our clients, they are at a different level.
Right.
These are also the same problems, but to a lesser extent,
All right.
because it's very well standardized, the product, the recipes and everything.
Right.
But as soon as you go into a different format, you have some better tools for reporting.
So up to now that we've spoken with Akku, we found out that who has been involved in a lot of progress towards the F&B industry and specializing, breaking it down. Other companies doing it as well, but something different being done by Paperchase and StockTake online. Further moving down the interview, we will talk more about your ups and downs, likes and dislikes, more about your personal life. We've got an insight on how you've come through, how you started your journey from Kenya right up to the UK until today.
Of trying to remember writing manually, having the trial balance differences coming in,
Right.
remembering the numbers,
Right.
gave me the strengths or the plus points to say
Right.
what for.
Right.
And now
Right.
with those companies in Kenya, I learned so much about it because there were large companies, there were different fields. And in the UK, when it came, the interest was then to say, I didn't want to be an auditing company. I wanted to be a commercial accountant.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we started bookkeeping when the circumstances said we needed to have further income when our young family was coming into our life.
Right.
And at that time, we were working full time. In the evening, we'd do the extra bookkeeping. So we would take on any client to get some revenue coming in. And at home, so that, like you're working 5 days a week in the office, coming home,
Right.
working Saturdays, Sundays. So
Right.
that's the sacrifice you have to make if you want the business to grow and make a decent living.
Right.
And even at home, often we used to work till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. But
Right.
that's like at that time,
Right.
And doing bookkeeping for various different companies, also gave us the flexibility to say, yeah, we can do a lot of things, learning a lot. And we had a few restaurant clients where the idea germinated because it was volumetric.
Right.
Volume meant a lot of bookkeeping.
Right. Right.
And then I also realized that those chefs were disorganized,
Okay.
So the idea came in, they are going through all this volume, ill-disciplined, disorganized. How do I tame them in a certain way? And the way was, I need to give them something back.
Right.
Right. It wasn't the question of you do this because I'm an accountant, that's the way you want it.
Right.
So it had to be reciprocal in both the ways and explain to them, this is what I'm trying to do. So this journey of volumetric client led us to this idea of disciplines, procedures, and reporting for the hospitality. And I realized that hospitality had a lot of paperwork, and paperwork meant bookkeeping. And if we can take the chefs and the owners to work on a new format, new way, we would have a business. So that was the actual journey of hospitality, to say that, yeah, so much volume, so much disorganized. If you look at those days, the invoices came in, often they'll be
I would reckon just pieces of paper with something scribbled.
I don't only that. At times there'll be some oil drops and stuff like that. They'll get the goods, they'll be signing it and scribbling it and make process to say return, not return. So you don't think that, yes, he has returned the stuff. Who is chasing for the credit note?
Okay.
Time. And most of those invoices of these days were manual. So you had to do your quick calculation to say, does it look okay?
Right.
And
Right.
it wrote one less headache. Other challenges started coming in.
Right.
To convert those businesses from that old day of putting it in the sending all the stuff at the end of the month to the accountant, I said those days are gone.
Right.
It's got to be something different if you want to be successful. But with the clients that picked up to say, this is my idea. Are you for it? All of them agreed with it. Because a businessman goes in it to make money.
Right.
And
So
he
if
requires
it's, so if it's something simple, people don't take on to it. If you complicate it for them and if it's not open for them to understand, then it becomes very difficult. So going from the process of back in the day when you were doing manual, I'm assuming, oh yes, this is one question I wanted to get to. Paper chase. Does this literally mean that you were chasing your clients for pieces of paper that the name came about?
absolutely.
Perfect.
And
I thought so.
the name came through my brother. We see, we are always cheering for the paper because nobody was it. Business people, the people in business hate people.
Right. Right.
Because their skill, their enterprising is on something different.
Right.
But they have to chase for the paper, and the name of Paperchase stuck in.
That's how it came about.
Yeah.
That's how. So how many people do you reckon in your time spent in Paperchase have actually caught on to why Paperchase was named Paperchase? Because I figured this out in your interview with Nish. Because you mentioned it was always about chasing the paper, their invoices, their bills.
I think some of the staff might know it now by now because on several interviews and respect that.
Right. Right.
New people might or might not remember, but why is his name chosen?
But it should be a part of the history of the company. Why the name? Even the name was placed for a specific reason, not out of the blue, which was very enticing and very nice. Someone that not a lot of mind went into it, but it is simply sophisticated. It is very simply sophisticated. Yeah, that's all I can say. Paperchase, amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
So yes. So coming from that era of chasing papers to now having a little bit of it being digitalized and coming into our systems through API, what do you see the future of this going to? The management, the operations of a restaurant.
The human challenges will still be there.
Right.
How do you make the life easy for all of them involved? Different companies have got different challenges. How do you adapt to each of the country, each of the client, each of the location, for the betterment of it? So since COVID, working from home has created problems in every country, every sector. I personally believe that even the other sectors which we don't deal with it, the training and uplifting of the knowledge becomes a little less because you are at home, you are 300 miles away from your office.
Right.
It's like going to a school. The reason you go to a school is that, somebody will ask a question and the teacher will give an answer and you might not have understood, but now you understand it.
Right.
And sort of things are much easier to deal with it in the,
Right.
there is a hospitality sector or any
Right.
other sector in the field.
Right.
So with this era of APIs and everything coming in there is too much data coming in from my perspective. And when you got too much data, you can't make a quick judgment. If you look at, for example, at the end of the year, the auditors file a set of accounts. Some of them goes into 16, 17, 20 pages.
Right.
You can't really understand all those things because it's subcategorized, third categorized. You can't get the feel of your simple P&L.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And once you read, I always have felt that if you got too many pages to read, you won't read it.
Right.
And you will not be able to correlate it.
Right.
So our reporting has allowed the correlation is easier because the relevant information being on that page. And all these new tools are good, but if there is too much of it, then people won't get the time to read it. In a Western country, the wage cost and the challenges are humongous.
True. Very true.
And if you are looking at one particular dashboard or studying the ERM and somebody else might be studying or into the dashboard, but be looking at different numbers, different things. So often there is no cohesion between the two, interpretation and understanding. So that needs to be streamlined in time to come. So people are aware that they're looking at the same page. If you start
Right.
looking at a different page with different interpretation, then it becomes challenging.
Right. It does. It does. All right. So now let's get to a little bit of your personal life. And I would first of all like to know, me being a foodie, also found out that you are quite fond of food. Now, does himself cook some food once in a while?
Zero.
Does he enjoy?
I'm not a good cook.
Okay.
And my philosophy is somebody can do better cooking. Why bother doing it? Why is a very
Should
good
that.
cook.
Should that.
And it doesn't go down with my family,
Okay.
especially my children. They say, no, you must learn how to cook. You tell the other people what to do. You yourself.
So,
But
and what are some of your favorite meals that you could go back to anytime, any day? Some old memories of some which you haven't tried in a long time, something that you want back again. That nostalgia.
Yeah, that journey of the food was back from Kenya days.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I was based in Nairobi,
Okay.
and me and some of my very close friends used to go to Mombasa to eat one particular dish.
Okay.
So we'll work until Saturday evening. We'll hop in a car and go to Mombasa, spend the weekend and back on the Sunday evening. So back to the work on Monday, just to eat that particular dish. And that is 300 miles away. So I think the instinct to travel for the food was perhaps inbred into me to say that, what, I like that food. I want to go and eat that food. Just one dish.
One dish, making all that effort, all that time, all that energy, just for that one dish.
I do about 3 times a year or 4 times a year. Just
So
to
when was the last time you visited Mombasa to just pick on that particular dish?
4 weeks ago.
Oh, so very recently. So very recently.
Yeah.
Although I know that Kenya is quite a lot into sugarcane production, if I'm not wrong. They're heavy on sugarcane production. So you being a Gujarati, and I just recently visited Gujarat. I was in Ahmedabad. Oh, I know the Gujaratis love their sweets. I enjoyed it.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No. I tend to find our Gujarati cooking in Gujarat predominantly a bit too sugary.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I prefer the Kathiawadi dishes.
Okay.
So even in Kenya, you tend to find it's not sugary. People that are adapted to what I classify as good taste. Very sugar based,
Because the last event which we had, I was in Ahmedabad. That was my first trip to Ahmedabad ever, or to Gujarat. And me having a sweet really enjoyed the variety of sugar goods there, and their own initiative with the rose ice cream. It's like blending. They are a lot into blending stuff, which is very nice for the palate because coming from North India, everything is very generic till people try to move it up and down. And it is a very nice experience. So I assume that you would also be
I
of the same, having the same treatment.
new innovations coming in, new ideas coming in, new sweet dishes coming in, which are not over sugary,
Right,
amazing.
right,
So,
right,
every time somebody from India brings some stuff, I keep on thinking, wow, what an amazing, it's not the standard heavy sugar,
right, right, right,
So,
right.
uh, there has been innovation, there has been changes in people's expectation, and there are
Right.
people who are willing to change it, good chefs coming in.
Right, right,
Amazing.
right,
The
right.
same thing in Kenya, it's a multicultural society. So food has been adapted to fit everybody.
Every,
It's just an experience. So yeah, once that the dish, you can't beat it.
okay. So 4 weeks back, I thought it would be a long time, but you were just there. Brilliant. And which restaurant is visited the most by you in the UK? One of your favorite places to go in terms of maybe just the food or the ambience or just the whole comfort level? Any particular places?
I think I have to put Zuma as number one
Okay.
because they've got a fantastic feel, looks, product, and nice.
And I'm sure they've been consistent in being your first client as well.
And for a vegetarian, the offering and everything is just stunning. For
So
me,
being a vegetarian in the UK, initially, now I know there are a lot of options, but initially there wouldn't have been so many restaurants catering specifically to vegetarians then, and now even vegan restaurants are there. So how did you see the growth of vegan and vegetarian restaurants come about in a country like, or a continent like Europe?
I think in the UK, it was slightly easier than Europe
Okay,
because of just the society which was changing the map of London, especially London, which became the hub of culinary experience
right,
of the world.
right,
New ideas were coming in, new talent was coming in, new chefs were coming in. And also, I felt that the new generation of the chefs coming in, they were also mindful of, red meat only. So
right,
they were willing to look at alternatives for themselves and for the menus and recipes. And that has continued so far. And that's why I feel that in UK, the variety of the vegan, vegetarian, even before the vegan came in, the vegetarian options have started creeping in a reasonable way. In the past, you might only have got a pasta dish. Now you get a few more dishes coming in. And I think
right,
that's chefs have also taken up the challenge to know that they need to cater. Plus, it's not for Indians only. A lot of other people want to balance their diet. And
right,
they say that, we want to balance with good vegetarian and with meat or the fish.
right,
So vegetarian dishes have to become exciting.
right,
It's a journey that gone are the days when people will survive on some heavy meat items only. So
right.
the journey has been changing. And if you want to give a salad, make sure it's a great salad,
Salad.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So as Paperchase and StockTake online have grown, so have restaurants grown a lot. Seeing the new talent coming up with the new ideas of fusion and traditional, contemporary, modern, trying to fuse these. How do you feel about this going forward? Because you have seen probably the starting of an era of the food and beverage industry. You're seeing it almost at its peak. I don't think so. It could go up any further unless they're going to have someone on Mars probably catering. But it's at its all-time high. I believe that the catering standards have gone that high. So what change have you seen the difference and where do you see it going?
Innovation will always make some of the dishes or the food coming in exciting. But I personally always believe that you also should have some comfort food. You know that when you travel outside, after some time, when you come back, you want your basic comfort food coming in.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
one should not forget that you give the option to the customer, but you have some comfort food for them to fall back on.
Okay.
And
Why is restaurant food, even something so simple as dal chawal or rice and pulses, why something so simple like that tastes different at home and in a restaurant? From experience, you might know. I cannot understand it till date, but you might know. Why is there a difference, even though it could be made the same way?
number one, the equipment for the cooking.
Okay.
They've got heavy duty equipment. The heat is
Right.
good. And you've got a little bit of scientific mind in some of the chefs who have gone through their experiences. This is what you do. If you think about minutely, the thickness of your frying pan can make it through the heat. And the cooking is a big role.
Yes.
Now, in a commercial kitchen, you might have your dal being brewed very slowly for 6 hours.
Right.
At home, you try to tell your wife or somebody I want my dal to be cooked for 6 hours. Probably you'll be in trouble,
Yes. Yes.
So on the commercial side, you have the luxury of certain things because there are people dedicated to cook those. Plus, they're not going to cook all the dishes. You'll have in a kitchen 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people working in different areas. So the areas they work on, they try to perfect it. Have time. So cooking at home is quite different as cooking to a commercial way.
Yes. 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 Okay. So, Akul, the next question, we'll move on to a little bit of stock take. Now that stock take is a very integral part, has become a very integral part, not only stock take, but similar SAS, SaaS softwares as well, have become an integral part of the restaurant. But where do you see stock to in the future? What problem solving is stock take going to do, keeping in mind now with a lot of progress in technology in terms of AI? AI will take on a lot of aspects of the tabulating of reports and more precise reports, probabilities. So where do you see stock take going in the future, in the coming 5-10 years?
I think the basics won't change. You still require your basics to be put into place. It's a question of how do you automate or how do you make things easy? Now, in some aspects, it's already being done. You do your inventory purchase order. AI will not do the purchase order. You require a human being at the end of it to say, yeah, it looks okay. I want this. I don't want this. And once that invoice comes in, you check it, check the prices. It's a question of, in your AI tools, if a discrepancy can be flagged off immediately and going to a supplier immediately, that might make some difference to the year. Already those suppliers just overcharge. But I'll come back to the basics. When you get the food in, has somebody waiting? You might have an invoice for 3 kilos of spinach. Is it 3 or is it 2.85?
Right.
I don't see how technology can solve that physical element of it. It can solve the transition of documentation, values, and everything. And with it, any discrepancy, whatever is there, can be thrown out, flagged up to get the necessary amended invoice or credit notes to come in. Quality can only be checked at the grassroots level. So somebody has to say that, yeah, I'm happy with the fresh produce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In restaurants, especially with fresh produce.
Yeah, with fresh produce, there has to be a physical eye on it.
Right.
You might find
Absolutely right.
Yeah. So I can't say that AI at this stage will take care of it.
Right. That's also a task for AI itself to figure out in the near future. I do understand the point where there will have to be a personal person sitting there, feeling it, seeing it, smelling it. That senses cannot be replicated by AI. Certain senses.
Correct. Now, if I just give the example of the Japanese tuna, when the tuna, all the tuna first go to Japan,
Right.
and they actually taste this, check out how much is the fat element. Based
Yes.
on it, they will
They
pay
grade it.
for their fish. Yeah. I can't see how AI can overcome that, because that natural experience of the touch is physical.
Right.
Here it is,
Right.
and maybe AI's got a long way to go before they can dissect the fish, what it looks like, and etc. But at the moment, at least during my span of the life, I think the physical element will still be there.
Definitely. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Topic online, the chart of doing the recipes, etc., is quite important.
Mhm.
And often, you tend to find that chefs can struggle with creating recipes. There are some restaurants who change the recipes every day, lunch and dinner.
True.
So when you think about it, it almost becomes impractical for them to key in what they receive, because they don't have time. When the lunch service is over, they're looking at the dinner service. So those are practical aspects of some exceptional fine dining restaurants.
Right.
And those chefs are creative people. They will try to do the mix and the match for what
Right.
they have left. And it's not on the recipe.
Right. It's
Yeah.
creativity. It's
It's
more
the
of creativity.
So the creativity, you have to be mindful that what can I give it back we can make sense. So you keep it,
Yes.
and it's those sort of things you bear into mind. But where there is volumetric restaurant, that's
Right.
products coming in order to get the consistency, you need to make sure people follow the recipes. People follow the recipes and what the end result should look like.
Right.
Here a piece of paper is not enough. The end result in the terms of the presentation, how it should be, is very important.
True.
Because
So, would you agree that people eat with their eyes or they taste?
100%, 100%, 100%, If
They
you
eat
don't
with.
appetize it, you are going to eat it.
So, for you, what I have understood of you, you have made this software, this functioning. It's so basic. It is so basic that it is very sophisticated. That's the only way I can put it.
No, the thing
In terms of results.
in terms of the software development has been by me here,
Right.
but the ideas has been based on my original Excel spreadsheet,
Right.
The end result should be this.
Right.
How to navigate it, how to build a
Right.
software is
Right.
a skill,
Right.
On Excel, I could use my skill, but then I was also limited to what it can achieve. It's different, yeah. But with the powerful database,
Right.
I believe we have got a fantastic tool, simple to navigate, simple to use.
Right.
So
Right.
in the hospitality, I believe that AI will make a few changes, but when it comes to the cooking, I don't think AI can come in. Cooking is
Possible.
servicing is human beings,
Right.
cleaning is human beings. So
Right.
it's a long way. It mightn't have an impact on us
In our lifetime, at
in
least.
our lifetime. I mean, there'll be some good changes coming in, but there'll also be challenges coming in.
Right.
And more the challenges, more headaches to run restaurants.
Right.
In the old days, the restaurant manager only had to cope with 2 or 3 different type of softwares. Just to give an
Right.
example. Today, reservation, sales, credit card machines, music, lighting, health and safety is some of the elements coming in, etc., etc. So you can think about how many different software one has to use. So he has to become equally knowledgeable with these new platforms which are coming in, and some of them are very essential,
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
the culinary interest is still there. Yeah, and traveling is great.
When do we get to see you next in India?
I think it will be in the near future. But I was telling Puri that I need the right people who are fired up to take the reporting and understanding to a new level. I want the youngsters to better it. I've given a platform, but the new generation, I wanted to make it better.
Right. 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 I had the honor of speaking to Simon in the last event for half an hour. I do not know if he remember me, but I did explain to him how his gut always went out when he came to India. Although he enjoys the Indian food, but has a complaint that his stomach goes out. So we did have a half an hour discussion as to how he should come and introduce yogurt into his system so that he has good bacteria.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I did get to meet Simon. I met Nish. Hopefully we'll get to meet you sometime in the near future.
Yeah, with the very near future, because now we've got 3 branches in India.
Yes.
They have to be passionate to understand we are in the most exciting phase. I think of chefs as artists.
True.
That's one thing we can imagine to say. I think of chefs as artists because they are doing beyond the norm stuff,
Yes.
and how do you make it much more interesting, and how do you keep pace with them?
Right.
So when you work with an artist, your mindset has to be different. When you're talking to a banker or an accountant, you're talking a different language.
Right.
With the skill and the artist, you speak a different language.
Right. Right.
And that's what I've enjoyed so far. And my journey so far has been very exciting. I enjoy it. I probe into their brain, they probe into mine, and start to learn from each other.
That's growing. That's called growing.
Yeah.
No, but I do. And my philosophy always for at least chefs, since I am in this, is that a chef is better if he could make probably 10 dishes out of one ingredient rather than 100 dishes out of 100 ingredients. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, but it can be very boring also.
It could be, but that again, as you mentioned, a chef is an artist. Out of just potatoes, I could either make you bhaji, or I could make you aloo zira, or I could make you French fries, or I could make you honey chili potato. All revolves around potato, but that's again, as you said, on the creativity of the chef.
Yeah. Now, just if you talk about the potatoes,
Right.
from my viewpoint, and telling the chef, potato fills you up.
Right.
So it's not good for business.
but it's also one of the most selling ingredients. Actually, I think in India, when we have conversations, like even me personally, when I have conversations with the team I'm working with, there is a level of a difference of understanding as to how the hospitality in India works and how the hospitality in the developed nations work. Because the rules and the regularities are very, very stringent than what we have here in India. Right?
In India, people want their comfort food mainly.
Right.
So when they come to the UK, they're still looking for the same food as they eat in India.
Right.
I feel that especially the older generation, even some of the younger generation, are not experimenting with the new cuisines which are available.
Right. Right.
So I'm not saying all of them, but the most of them.
Right.
Get a different feel, different experience. Unless you tried it, you won't.
No, true. Very.
So
very
they come to the UK and they're looking for the same. Where can they get a good dosa? You keep on thinking, why bother coming to the UK for a dosa?
Yeah.
You're coming here for 2 weeks. Try different dishes. You might not like some of it, but at least you know that you experience something different. You might like something.
Right.
So they are not adventurous, I think is the word I will use.
Getting out of the comfort zone, maybe.
Yeah.
People are too
Not
comfortable.
adventurous,
Right.
Not adventurous.
Food has been an adventure for me always. I love experimenting. It could be anything as long as it's food can be chewed, I would try it.
But
And then make my decision.
yeah, there will be very few people like that. The older generation is definitely very much narrow-minded, definitely.
Okay.
But the young generation, now who have traveled, you
Right.
have better experience of exposure, say within India itself, north,
Right.
east, west, south. And
Right.
every state, every city, every village will have its own specialty.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
think the speciality will change. Even the taste of dal changes about every 100, 200 kilometers. There is some new ingredient, some different style of it cook, giving it wood to cook on, or giving it dried cow dung to cook on gives it an absolutely different flavor. These comes from connoisseurs of food love will see the difference.
You just give an example. Yesterday, I had a dinner with a friend in city, and there was a almond soup with garlic and grapes,
Almond soup with garlic and grapes. Okay. Okay.
and it was cold soup.
Okay. I would assume with the grapes.
And there were a few seeds or whatever it is. Stunning, absolutely stunning. You know,
It would balance out. Actually, it would balance out the garlic and the grape and the
I mean,
sweetness.
garlic would be there. Garlic would have been a use of garlic.
Yes.
You want
Yes.
the garlic, no garlic, but just a hint of garlic,
Right.
almond soup, and the grapes. And I was staggered to see grapes because you never have a fruit in a
And a
soup. Correct?
Right.
And
Right.
it was really beautiful. So here it is.
Right.
The same words, a perfect soup in the summer.
Right. Right. Having a cold soup with grape. I am assuming it would be nice because it's got all the elements of taste. You
It
have
was
sweet,
super.
bitter, salt, umami, all of it right in there.
And normally a person would come in and say, no, I like with tomato soup or with dal soup or something like that.
Right. Right. Right.
So I reached out to say, let me try this one.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? It's beautiful. So
I would like to try it. I would like to actually try it. Was the almond cut into pieces or was the paste used in the soup?
I think it was completely paste. So it was
All right.
it was very liquidy like a tomato soup.
Okay.
So they might have then removed all the pulp
Pulp. Right.
on it. And they would have added some of the other things in it because there were a few seeds, touch of garlic flavor. It had nice small pieces of grapes, green grapes, not that sultanas.
All
Yeah.
right. The red, black one.
Yeah. And so beautiful and cold soup. So they must have put it a little bit in the chill.
Right.
It was stunning.
Right. Right. So that's something fascinating. So what would a cold soup like this be accompanied with? Usually tomato soup is accompanied with breadsticks. What would a soup like this be accompanied with? Or it's just in
Nothing.
itself
Not
very
bold. Only stuff.
brilliant. Brilliant. That's something I would like to try. That's something I would like to try on a hot day, a cold soup.
Only soul you could drink only soul. You did not require bread with it.
Nice. Nice. So yes, being in food, I've understood that there are certain elements of taste and texture when combined together come together very nicely.
Look, I try to be adventurous when it comes to I'm a vegetarian. Try different things. And you might like a lot of it. You might not like a few dishes. But you're the exposure of good food coming in and it never
Right.
stops.
Right. 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 Because see, even as I was talking earlier, there's still a lot of Indians who have to pick up the culture of food can be different than what generically we have it as. Like the concept of pumpkin pie is not sweet in India. It doesn't have the taste of cinnamon in it, right? It's very different than telling someone that you could make maybe pumpkin soup. They've not experienced that. It's
I
weird.
think they're very the comfort zone of what they like.
Right, right, right.
I think another thing that the challenges in the Western countries has been the health side of it.
Okay, okay.
So we should think about a lot of our Indian restaurants. For example, I know that a lot of them have fried stuff as starters, fried stuff,
Right.
It's not healthy, but fried stuff is tasty.
It is. It is.
So you can't be a diner going out on a regular basis and end up eating food which is not very healthy. It might be tasty, but not very healthy. Once in a while would be okay.
Right.
So the chefs here also bear that in the mind to say that, what, I need to give you much more balanced type of cuisine in my restaurant.
Right.
Whereas even I would go once in a while in some of our Indian restaurants. I know that by the time I have my starters, and have lots of variety, I'm stuffed.
But are you a food critic? Do you really critique the food, even though you don't have a formal background in food? But
I've
it
got,
seems like you are, okay, you have a formal background in
I've got a good palate.
palate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've
So
got
you
good,
really enjoy your food and taste it and find flaws and how it could be better.
yeah. How I
That's,
don't know, but when
it
it's,
can be better.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, So it was really good talking to you, Aku. And thank you so much, so very much for giving your time to us.
I hope you're able to. I think the second part of the element was much better than the first. First
Right,
was bit on the weekly report side.
right,
To
right,
make a stock take online journey.
right,
So like we said that you need to know that you have your downs and ups and
right,
take the challenges and say, how can you make it better?
better,
And yes, it's been hard graft, to reach where we have reached.
right,
Hasn't come easy. You have
right.
to work for it. I think there was a fantastic video of Roger Federer. It's something which is exactly what an enterprising person, perfectionist would have it, you know. And I apply the same principles that it's a hard graft practice which makes better. And his video was amazing. He said, "You think," and he made a speech with at one of the universities in the USA. And Kevin, it's nice thing. If you send me your mobile, and if I want a copy, I'll send it to you.
Definitely. I would definitely like to read those notes which you have given, stating how your life went through, because I'm sure through your experience, if I go through that book, just based off your writings, I could gain about 5, 10 years of experience at this age, where it would rather take me 5 more years to get that. Because the attention to detail that you give are a very few people in the 34 years of, not even 30, say 28 years of my knowledgeable existence, awareness existence, that I've seen people giving so much detail to a certain thing. Very, very, I would say it's not sad, but it's disheartening to see that people are not very passionate the way that the older generation was about things, like you were about things, like you still are, hands on, like STO reports, flash triggers. And I was just like, yes, all that makes sense. Now, all that makes sense only because you have rigorously gone through all of that.
If you look at our cash up reports, there was our Excel cash up,
Right,
done in a different database. With the database, it makes it very, very powerful.
right,
So the
right,
basics were there, but
right,
the add-ons have made the life easy.
right,
you know.
right.
But it's
So we can call you the pillars of what paper chase, and the fundamentals are the basic pillars of paper chase, stock take, and cash out,
and weekly reports.
and weekly reports.
Yeah.
And weekly reports.
Yeah.
Nice. Great, great, great. It is really, really amazing talking to you. I did see a lot of videos of you, but even I was hesitant, as you were saying yesterday. So this is my first time as well. But you have more tenure than me in something like this, giving interviews, I'm sure.
I can say that I'm a freelancer when it comes to hospitality. I'm growing and I don't make my words. I mean, I'm passionate. I want people to learn, but they should be hungry.
Hopefully, there would be a day I'd get a chance to cook for you, because I am extremely passionate about food.
Vegetarian, please. Yeah.
Anything. I have a large skill set that I love. That this is also the only reason I don't like going out, because wherever I go out with my friends, they're like, all you end up doing is criticizing their food. I'm like, sorry, that's what I've been trained for.
Are you based in Delhi?
So I'm originally from Punjab, Ludhiana.
Yeah.
I did my schooling in all the way up in the hills in the Missouri. Went to Australia for my hotel management, specialized in back of house. Then I'd come back to Ludhiana. I've opened up a small outlet called Deliverance from Hunger. It's based for the students over there. It's more of an a la carte menu with subscription-based meal plans for the students. And then I found out about StockTake online because at that time I was actually looking for EPOS software for myself, which I came across. And then I came across StockTake. From StockTake, I saw Indeed. From Indeed, there was a job opening. I placed a job. So yes, it is my field of expertise, and I love food, love anything related to do with restaurants. And this is hardcore back of house. StockTake online is hardcore back of house.
It's a super tool.
It's a super tool.
It's a super.
Uh, there are a lot of suggestions I have for the super tool because, again, I may be able to bridge some of that between the hospitality and IT because there is a bridge that has to be gapped. But yeah, it's a super tool which no one understands the magnitude of how it could help them. But when and as and when people understand, they will know why is STO STO. They will
Yeah.
understand.
I agree with that. But like I said, not a programmer. All I know is that
Right.
result and from the trigger
Has to
points
be.
are amazing.
Right.
And if they're amazing, that means my life, if I'm a chef or a manager, it makes my life easy.
Easier. Right. Right. I'd rather get a trigger point than having to go through the report.
Exactly. You just want the pointers.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't have the time. They're too busy cooking either way or keeping the kitchen clean.
Okay.
Either of the two. All right, Aku, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time.
Yeah. Just to make sure that the navigation or the history is fine, but the importance of inventory control and the journey and the hard work,
Right.
the transition from a manual copy to Excel
Right.
to this one.
Right.
What are the
Right.
benefits? I mean, you can talk a lot, but I think there is enough talk in previous videos. I can't even remember the videos,
Right.
because
Right.
I don't know who takes what when I'm speaking. At this stage, I just want to teach everybody what I know.
No, that's so gracious of someone who wants to impart their own knowledge they have picked up over the years. People usually don't, in India we say free ka gyan partner. People don't usually do it in the correct way. They would give you suggestions, but not of use. But someone who wants to give such massive industry experience pushing forward, this video will be very helpful for them.
That is good. Thank you very much. Okay, Kevin.
Really nice talking
Okay,
to you.
take care.